So in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off, okay? So, it's already 3 hours long. Our next presenter starred in Netflix's Bird Box, a movie where people survive by acting like they don't see a thing. Sort of like working for Harvey Weinstein. You did it. I didn't. You did it. Shut the fuck up.
This is where the house of cards starts falling.
As the disgraced financier's dirty secrets threaten to tear down society's most powerful.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
The Chris Tucker that we got now is Epstein Island Chris Tucker, not Smokey.
Oh, Lord.
Jay-Z shot 3 videos on Epstein Island with supermodels that were under the age of 18 that were provided by Naomi Campbell.
These Epstein characters have existed throughout history, whether they were kings or what, human beings are human beings universally. So
in 2020, Ricky Gervais stepped onto the stage at the Golden Globe Awards and did something few others would dare to do. He looked directly at Hollywood's biggest stars sitting in front of him and openly mentioned Jeffrey Epstein, calling out a room full of celebrities who were believed to be familiar with him. Asterisk the same individuals who had been linked to his jet in private gatherings. The same figures who, according to critics, stayed silent during the controversies surrounding him. At the time, many in the audience reacted with uneasy laughter, while Ricky smiled as if he understood something the public would only realize later. Asterisk now. Years later, discussions around the Epstein files have resurfaced. Names are being talked about again, and some of Hollywood's biggest stars have noticeably gone quiet. Some, like Ellen DeGeneres, have even stepped away from the spotlight or relocated. Asterisk Ricky had already addressed it on that stage, speaking openly in front of everyone, and now, the same people who once laughed are the ones staying silent. Asterisk is it just a coincidence? Tonight, we look into the names, the silence, and the question many avoid asking: where are the celebrities who were once connected to Epstein? And why have they suddenly stopped speaking? Ricky Gervais has hosted the Golden Globes multiple times, and each time, he has been known for saying what?
If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and off, okay? On a serious note, just looking at all the faces here reminds me of some of the great work that's been done this year by cosmetic surgeons.
Now, to understand why Ricky Gervais is being talked about again, you have to look at what he did that night in January 2020 when he stepped onto the stage. He already knew exactly what he was going to say, and more importantly, he knew exactly who he was saying it. Taught that room was filled with some of the most powerful figures in entertainment, individuals who had built their reputations through carefully managed public image people, who were rumored to have attended Jeffrey Epstein's events, flown on his jet, or visited his island, and who, according to critics, had remained silent. For years, Ricky cleverly began by promoting his show Afterlife, a story about a man struggling after losing his wife to cancer. But right after that setup, he used the moment to deliver a sharp and unforgettable statement.
The entire first season of Afterlife, instead of watching this show, that's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
For a moment, no one in the room reacted, and the cameras even tried to cut away. But the tension was clear. Ricky Gervais had just said the one thing you're not supposed to say in a room like that. He pointed directly at the uncomfortable truth everyone was avoiding. And despite the humor, he wasn't entirely joking. Ricky was calling out the hypocrisy of certain celebrities in that audience, who were linked to Jeffrey Epstein, the same individuals who had once posed for photos with him while serious allegations surrounded his activities. But this wasn't the first time Ricky used that stage to make a point. During that same Golden Globe Awards appearance, he also mentioned Ronan Farrow, the journalist who later exposed Harvey Weinstein, won a Pulitzer Prize, and became one of the most talked about figures in Hollywood.
In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world, people from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you.
At the time, many celebrities laughed, assuming it was just another joke from Ricky Gervais. But he wasn't really joking. He was hinting that their secrets weren't as protected as they thought, that someone was paying attention, and that things were starting to close in. Ricky has always been clear about why he takes that approach, in interviews. He's explained that when he hosts an award show, he has a choice. Either write jokes that keep the celebrities in the room comfortable, flattering them and feeding their egos, or speak directly to the millions of viewers watching from home, the audience who supports the industry and is often tired of seeing powerful figures constantly praise themselves.
I've just met these 40 people whose lives were destroyed, and they're out in the elements living with that, and the fact that they're not going to be able to get those lives back, that this is a new reality for them.
You knew Jeffrey Epstein, didn't you?
You know, we flew Bill Clinton and a lot of different, that was a humanitarian trip to Africa.
Yeah.
And I met him on that trip because it was his plane. I didn't know who plane we was getting on, but it was a whole bunch of dignitary people who was with a delegation.
Just for the record, you've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach.
Yes.
I've always said that I'm not a saint, that I am a work in progress, but I will not be held hostage by my past.
You know, it's factually true that I was only at dinners. You know, I never went to the island. I never met any women. And so, you know, the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior.
Don't get to Hollywood and start sleeping with white women and doing cocaine, because it'll kill you. Oh, yeah.
What made you think, you know what, I'm just going to hammer him? I don't care what the...
Well, I thought, when they said, do you want to host the Golden Globes, all that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, I'm going to write my own jokes. Right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires? And it was a no-brainer. I was doing it for them, you know, and I didn't want to, it wasn't set out to hurt their feelings, but it was, if you're going to make it a spectator sport, then you better have something, there better be something in it for the people at home.
Now, years later, discussions around the Jeffrey Epstein files have started resurfacing again. And some of the biggest names linked to those conversations have done something noticeable. They've gone quiet, almost as if they've stepped out of the spotlight entirely. Ricky Gervais stood on that stage and openly called things out, looking directly at some of the most powerful people in the world and making it clear he didn't care about their connections. Now, the same people who once laughed don't seem to be laughing anymore. So let's take a look at who has gone quiet, starting with Tom Hanks. His name doesn't prominently appear in the Epstein files, but it does show up in a 2013 email from Epstein's publicist suggesting a social connection rather than any wrongdoing. Still, rumors quickly spread online. Social media claimed that Hanks had been denied entry into Greece and even lost his citizenship. It didn't take long for fact-checkers to debunk those claims, confirming they were fabricated. However, by that point, the speculation had already spread. Since then, reports suggest that Tom Hanks has reduced public appearances, stepped back from interviews, and maintained a lower profile.
Ruth Ashcraft on Twitter, who has been accusing Tom Hanks of her.
when she was 13. Her dad sold her to Tom Hanks.
Since when has this brand of common decency and professionalism been put on hold just because of dynamics in the workplace? Is this what's going on with social media, that Oprah and I cannot go on a billionaire's boat to Tahiti with a former president of the United States and not keep it secret, for God's sake?
Then there's Leonardo DiCaprio. Ricky Gervais has spent years joking about him, especially his dating life, his preference for younger partners, and what some describe as his fear of getting older. At the Golden Globe Awards in 2020, Ricky delivered a line that instantly shifted the mood in the room.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long, Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. So... even Prince Andrew's like, come on, Leo, mate, you know, you're nearly 50, son.
But despite the humor, Leonardo DiCaprio's name has been mentioned multiple times in discussions around the Jeffrey Epstein files. In a June 2009 email, former UK Minister Peter Mandelson asked whether international organizations could approach DiCaprio for support. Another exchange from 2016, linked to an account using the name Deepak Chopra, talked about organizing a dinner and questioned whether DiCaprio might attend. Epstein also reportedly tried to arrange a meeting involving DiCaprio and Woody Allen, although there's no confirmation it ever happened. However, the internet pushed things much further. Various online rumors began circulating, including claims about supposed coded language in emails involving DiCaprio and Allen. These allegations have been widely debunked by fact-checkers and traced back to unreliable sources, known for spreading false information. There was no verified evidence that DiCaprio was involved in any criminal activity connected to Epstein. He has denied any personal association, including ever visiting Epstein's island, and his representatives have stated he never communicated with him directly. Still, with many documents yet to be fully reviewed, speculation continues. As more pages become public, several well-known names have appeared in different contexts, including Naomi Campbell, Kevin Spacey, Cate Blanchett, Bruce Willis, and Cameron Diaz. Other public figures mentioned include George Lucas, Michael Jackson, and magician David Copperfield. Then there's Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential figures in media. Some claims circulating online have suggested deeper connections, including allegations from certain individuals. But these remain unproven and are not backed by verified evidence. Oprah was also publicly supportive of Juho Teixeira de Faria, later convicted of serious crimes, and had featured him on her platform in the past. Over time, these discussions have continued to grow online, even without confirmed proof. Since then, Oprah has reduced her public appearances compared to earlier years. A figure who spent decades constantly in the spotlight has taken a quieter approach, and recent appearances, such as at fashion events, have sparked further curiosity and discussion among audiences.